I know what you're probably thinking, seeing the name of this video and the name of my channel and the Terminator icon, and let me just get ahead of it. This is not turtle bias. So my favorite TV show that I got into this year, by far, was Ted Lasso. It's a very wholesome show with a lot of really good quotes and just good lessons for life in general. But for some reason, the quote that I love the most from this show, the one that really hit me to my core, is the one that people never bring up. I even saw a post the other day that was titled top 20 Ted Lasso quotes, and this one was not on there. It didn't even crack top 20. I couldn't even find a clip of this line on YouTube, okay? I had to acquire the footage through totally legal means. It's the episode where Ted is struggling with therapy because he had a bad experience with a therapist in his past, and his assistant coach Beard reminds him of advice that Ted gave him once, which was,
all people are different people.
I said that?
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
And that line has stuck with me ever since the first time that I heard it, because I think it's the line that my generation specifically needs to hear the most. Tensions in this country feel like they are at an all-time high. Recent polls are showing that 1 in 3 Americans believe that violence against opposing political parties is justified, and everything is just becoming increasingly polarized by the day. I feel that a lot of people are of that mindset: if you're not one of us, then you're one of them. Whoever that them is to you. And that is not a future that I want to live in. And so when a piece of media comes around, right, that is about unity, about putting aside our differences, and most importantly about seeing things from a perspective that is different than yours and acknowledging the value in that, then I have to say I am very excited to talk about it with literally everybody that I know. And this movie in particular just happens to be a really good movie. And so I'm going to be giving my reasons on why I believe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem is the best movie of 2023. And I should also probably say we are diving headfirst into spoilers. When we first meet this iteration of the Turtles, they are shadows in the night, sneaking around to avoid humans in every way possible, because that is the way that Splinter has raised them. They even have this quote that they've heard over and over again about how horrible humans are.
Humans are the demon scum of the earth. Avoid them, don't say hi. They lust to murder that which is different from them. To interact with them is to die.
And what gets me the most is immediately after, Leonardo even says,
And hey, I know that's objectively prejudiced, but that's what Dad taught us.
So even the Turtles recognize, hey, I don't think humans are as bad as my dad thinks they are, but those are his beliefs. He takes care of us, so we respect it. And so they go along with it, even though it is very clear that they want to engage with the human world, sneaking to an outdoor screening of Ferris Bueller and seeing how humans interact with each other, longing for that same kind of comfort. Jackie Chan as Splinter is perfect, and you can tell he's having a lot of fun with this role. When we meet Splinter, he gives the backstory on how he found the Turtles and where his fear of humans came from. Even after he has had several bad encounters with humans, he decides to give it one last shot and takes his young turtle sons into the world above. Almost immediately, they are chastised and even hated, but also it did make me think if the humans were portrayed as so mean because this story is from Splinter's perspective, as we see a scene later in the film that is the complete mirror image of this one. If this portrayal is accurate though, then it is a very good representation of how mob mentality can very quickly take over an entire group of people. But more on that later. Splinter tells the boys, I thought we needed the human world, but we only need each other. Splinter is perfectly fine, never going back into the human world, never seeing if it's potentially changed. He had his bad experience with them when he was younger, and now he's gonna write them off for good. This actually reminds me a lot less of political views and more of religion. As someone who is religious but has a lot of friends that aren't, I have heard a lot of stories from people that were either raised religious or were open to the idea of religion, but a bad encounter or repeated bad encounters just kind of left a bad taste in their mouth and kind of pushed them away from religion entirely. And I've even been told quite a few times, you are not like other religious people that I've met, or like, yo, like you are the only religious friend that I have. And it's also not super uncommon for me to be the only religious person in a friend group because they've been burned by other people before. The turtles' world changes once they meet April, who is just as hesitant about interacting with them as they are about interacting with her. They see her get her bike stolen and decide to intervene, resulting in them getting into and winning their first fight. The boys showing April that they are indeed good guys is what gets her to open up to them, and the turtles even ask her, "Do you think there are more people like you that will accept us?" To which she quickly replies, "No." But this does hatch the idea that if the turtles can show people that they are here to help, then maybe humanity will accept them for who they are. There's also a very quick line that most people would just kind of see as a throwaway joke, but I actually think it's pretty significant. April has a lot of questions for the turtles, and the turtles suggest,
"Can we explain this over some pizza?"
How you guys feel about pepperoni?
She's down for pizza. I didn't think it would get this far.
I think when you focus on what you and other people have in common instead of what separates you, it creates a much stronger bond. And then once you've bonded with somebody over liking the same things like food, movies, video games, whatever, those differences don't seem as big anymore because now this isn't just a complete stranger that's opposing everything you believe in. This is somebody that likes something that you like, and so you see that they have a capacity for reason, for joy. This even happens again when both April and the turtles get messages from their parents, and April says,
Well, at least all parents are the same.
This leads to April and the turtles teaming up to stop the threat of the movie, Superfly, from creating what they believe to be a machine of mass destruction. And this is just where I have to take a moment and applaud the filmmaking skills of this movie, because this montage is one of the cleanest, most flawless scenes I have ever seen in a film, period. At this point, we also see April take the turtles to the high school after hours, and once again, we see them getting excited over the interests that humans have that relate to theirs. Whenever I see two people from opposing political views arguing in a very heated way, I can't help but just think, like, I wonder if y'all met under different circumstances, like at a concert or something like that, if you guys could have been really good friends. But instead, you came here specifically to debate, and so you are arguing against this person like they are like the scum of the earth, just like the worst human possible. Because I really do believe that for most of us, I mean, unless you are like a true extremist, we probably have a lot more in common than different. Once the turtles are able to find out intel about where Superfly is gonna be, they go there to put a stop to his plan. But what they find is the last thing that they would expect. The turtles discover that Superfly and his gang of mutants were made from the exact same sludge that made them.
Well, we prefer the term ooze, but yeah.
It's like more like, it's just nicer.
It
sounding.
rolls off the tongue better, yeah.
Ooze. It's nice, right? It's ooze.
Sorry, ooze. The turtles are instantly excited that there are other people like them in the world. And what was going to be an immediate fight turns into a chill hangout where you get to meet all the mutants. Now, this is where the movie becomes a lesson on the dangers of taking one ideology too far. Superfly has a very similar backstory to Splinter. Negative interactions with humans taught him that they were not to be trusted. However, whereas Splinter decided to hide from the humans, Superfly reaches the conclusion that humans need to be eliminated, and thus he is building a machine that will make enough mutants to take over the planet. Now, it's important to note that even in this scene, you can see that not everybody in his group is as extreme as Superfly, but they're going along with this plan because they feel that it's the only way that they can have acceptance.
We wish there was another way to feel safe and happy, but they got to go.
This is where the turtles remember that they are not on the same side as Superfly, and it isn't long after that when they come to an altercation, resulting in the turtles getting captured by the secret organization TCRI. April goes to Splinter for help, even though she knows that he doesn't like humans. Yet, she's still able to explain everything to him, and together they go to rescue the boys. Once Splinter has brutally incapacitated a whole room of soldiers and saved the boys from their greatest fear, being milked, he says that they must go stop Superfly so he doesn't kill the only one good human, April. This line was funny to me because it's like, even when he is shown that humans have the capacity to be good, he is still like, but just this one, okay? The rest of them are still bad. I know a few people that do that in real life. The turtle team rush to stop Superfly and his gang of mutants, and this is where the movie really drives the point home for me. When the turtles get there, they have this ideological exchange where Splinter says, "If we kill them, we are no better than them." And Mongo Gecko replies,
But it's the only way we'll be accepted.
aside from Superfly, the mutants are not acting out of malice or ill intent. They genuinely believe that this is the only way that their lives are going to get better. It's the only way of logic that they have been taught. But the turtles show them that that just isn't true, and they offer the mutants to come and live with them. They can have a real home and a family. Almost instantly, the mutants are like, "Oh, wait, we can come live with y'all? Like, there is another way? Yeah, then we don't want to do this."
Kinda don't want to murder everyone on Earth, and I just kinda want to sing. Gratefully.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'd rather not murder tons of people, because, like, what if I'm haunted by the faces of my victims in my sleep?
Bro, you'll really let us live with you?
Of course, bro.
And that was so fascinating to me, how just a change in perspective and what seemed like a big looming threat loses almost all of its power. And if you think I'm reading too deep into this, they even say point blank in the movie,
We don't want to do this. And really, I don't think we ever did. We just didn't know that there was any other alternative, but now that we met these dudes, we see that there is.
and of course, Superfly is not happy about this, and he tells the mutants,
There's only one way for you to feel safe and happy, and that's if you listen to me.
and that's the kicker, isn't it? So many places in this world tell you there is one way to think, this is what we follow. If you go outside of these parameters, you are wrong. This is very reminiscent of politics, I feel, and how we used to have more bipartisan agreement, and now it just seems like nobody wants to admit that the other side may have a good point on this or that. It's just, we are in this camp, we side with our camps 100%. But the truth is that nobody should side with the political party 100%, okay? That's how radicalism and extremists are made. True progress comes from compromise and conversation, okay? Not total takeover. And so, all the mutants work together to stop Superfly, and he calls out to Splinter for help, saying, "We're basically the same." This is where Splinter realizes that the way he's been sheltering the boys completely from the world is wrong, and he joins them in throwing Superfly and his machine into the ocean. But of course, that's not the end of the movie. There has to be a big boss fight. And so Superfly fuses with all of the animals in the ocean to create this Godzilla-like super creature, which is a culmination of animals with no independent thought. They are all controlled by Superfly, which I think again adds to that sort of mob mentality like imagery. The mutants rush into the city to help, and they are instantly met with backlash from the news and media outlets, painting them as the villains and using fear-mongering to send the city into a frenzy. You even hear one person off screen say,
One thing I know, I hate mutants.
doesn't even know the full situation, only knows what the media told him, and he is already like, well, I know I hate it. Even though the turtles know that the humans will never accept them, they decide to help anyways because it's the right thing to do. Meanwhile, April takes over the news broadcast so that she can get the real story out there and change the narrative around mutants and society's look on them. The turtles figure out that the way to defeat the monster is to destroy it from the inside, which is a very common trope for these sort of movies, but I think it's still very in line with the theme of this movie. If you want change to happen, it has to happen from within. Once April is able to share the facts about what is really going on, the humans realize that the mutants are good and they rush to help Splinter and the others get the antidote to the turtles. Now we see two groups of people who, for the whole movie, were led to believe that they were on completely opposing sides, working together for the common good of the community, which is how the world should work. That's how government should work, that's how religion should work. This is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, guys. Why is this so good? The turtles defeat Superfly, they save the city, humans accept the mutants all move in with the turtles, and the movie ends with the boys starting their first day of high school, integrating with humans and leaving behind their fears and shelters of what they didn't understand. And again, what's just so amazing to me is that this is a mainstream Hollywood movie, which, you know, sometimes Hollywood can contribute to that. There is one way of thinking, this is what we're pushing on society right now, get on board or get out. But yeah, I just remember coming out of the theater and just being so overwhelmingly happy because movies are influential and they can change the way that we look at things in our everyday lives. And I've said that to people before and they've just kind of been like, movies are movies. But if movies are just movies, then why are we so uptight about characters smoking in movies? Why do we care so much for character representation of different races or communities of people? Movies do matter. They do affect our lives. So for a movie like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem to come out, to be targeted towards children, to be about how it's okay to have friends that are different or think differently from you, how we don't all have to think the same way, is something that I think is a beautiful thing. So how does this all relate back to Ted Lasso, right? All people are different people. Just because you have a bad experience with a Republican, a Democrat, a Christian, an atheist, straight person, gay person, whatever kind of person that belongs to a community of people, that doesn't mean that everybody in that community is bad or that everybody in that community is out to get you and destroy everything that you love. Whenever we start putting people in these boxes and checklists, we take away their humanity. And the reality is that, again, unless you're talking about like an extremist or a terrorist or whatnot, we are all on this planet, all in this country, just trying to live the best possible lives that we can and make the area around us the best that it can be. So even if we don't agree on everything, that doesn't mean that we can't work together, and that doesn't mean that we can't find common ground and use that as our foundation to build something truly great and beautiful. And this is a movie that I am going to show my future kids over and over and over again, okay? It's gonna be one of those movies that they grow up with, and it has been greenlit for a sequel, and so we are gonna get more of these movies, and I think that's great that an entire generation of children is going to grow up with this, and this is essentially going to be their Remember the Titans. Because once again, I think that is a movie that my generation watched, and we all collectively were like, yeah, racism is bad. Plus, I did just want to say this movie did come out on physical media. I'm a big supporter of physical media. To me, it is so much better to pull a movie off of the shelves than just looking it up on streaming. Plus, you know, preserving cinema history, but that's a story for another video. But guys, let me know in the comments down below, did you see Mutant Mayhem? What did you think of it? Are you going to be picking it up on physical media? And what is your favorite movie of 2023? Whatever thoughts and opinions you have, I would love to hear them, as long as you are kind to everyone in the comments. But guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my turtle rants. My name is Mateo Rivera, and until next time, hasta la vista.